You have been lied to about what it takes to become an Azure cloud engineer. Every course, every YouTube channel, every bootcamp is telling you the exact same thing. Get your AZ900, then get your AZ104, build a few tutorial projects, and then boom, you'll land a job. But if it was that simple, why are there still thousands of people with those exact same certifications who can't get a single interview? Because if you're still grinding through the same certification roadmaps from 2021, building the exact same static website hosting project that every recruiter has seen 1,000 times, and treating your AZ104 badge like it's the finish line instead of the starting line, then yes, you should be concerned. But stay with me, because in this video, I'm going to show you the 5 specific skills that'll separate the Azure engineers getting hired in 2026 from the ones still refreshing their LinkedIn wondering why nobody's calling back. These are not the basics everyone is teaching. These are the skills that the market is actually paying for, and most people have no idea that they even need them. Let's get into it. Skill 1, infrastructure storytelling and business communication. Let me tell you the most common pattern I see in Azure engineers who are stuck. They can build things. They can deploy a virtual network, configure role-based access control, write a Terraform module. But the moment someone asks them to explain why any of that matters to the business, they go quiet. And here's the brutal reality of 2026. AI can spin up infrastructure. AI can generate Terraform templates. AI can configure basic Azure resources faster than any human working through a console. But what AI cannot do is walk into a conversation with the CFO and explain why the architecture you chose is going to save an organization $400,000 over 3 years. What AI can't do is translate a production incident into a clear narrative for executive leadership that builds on confidence rather than panic. What AI can't do is take a complex multi-region Azure deployment and explain the business trade-offs in language that makes a non-technical decision maker trust the decision. That's your edge, and it's available to you right now. The engineers who are making it into senior roles, the ones commanding the salaries that get shared on those LinkedIn posts that people screenshot, are not necessarily the most technically advanced. They're the ones who can do both: build the thing and explain why it matters. In this practice means 2 things. First, every project you build should have a business problem at its center. It's not just a list of Azure services you use. Not, I deployed an AKS cluster, but I built a containerized deployment system that reduced deployment time from 4 hours to 11 minutes and eliminated the manual rollback risk that had caused 2 production incidents that quarter. You hear the difference? The first answer describes what you built. The second answer describes why it mattered. One is a resume line. The other is a story that lands in an interview. Second, every technical decision you make should have a business justification you can articulate. Why hub and spoke instead of flat networking? Because it reduces east-west traffic costs, centralizes security inspection, and makes compliance audits dramatically simpler. Why managed identity instead of service principal with a secret? Because it eliminates credential rotation overhead, reduces the attack surface for credential theft, and removes a category of security incident that shows up in post-incident reviews constantly. The engineers who can speak that language are not competing in the same pool as the ones who can only speak Azure service names. Skill 2, infrastructure as code. Not just knowing it, mastering it. Here's a stat that should concern you. Organizations with manual infrastructure management spend an average of 40% more on cloud operations than organizations running fully automated environments. That's not a small number. That's the difference between a cloud environment that the CFO wants to expand and one that gets scrutinized every budget cycle. Most Azure engineers know what Terraform is. Most have written a few modules. Most could deploy a basic resource group and a storage account from code. But knowing Terraform and being the engineer who can build a fully automated, version-controlled, state-managed infrastructure pipeline that the entire team can use, those are completely different skill levels. And here's what I see constantly in people who have been stuck for years. They're in tutorial hell. They've watched every Terraform video on YouTube. They followed along with every lab. They've deployed every example resource from every getting started guide, but they've never built anything original. They've never sat down with a real business problem, decided how to architect a solution from scratch, made trade-off decisions that were not handed to them in the next steps of a walkthrough, and documented why they made those decisions. The gap is enormous, and hiring managers can feel it immediately. In 2026, clicking through the Azure portal is not cloud engineering. It's cloud technician work. And that distinction is showing up in salaries. The engineers who are genuinely valuable are the ones who can look at a manual process, a deployment that takes 3 hours of human effort, a configuration that someone has to remember to do manually, A compliance check that requires someone to log in and verify settings by hand and automate it completely. Bicep or Terraform. Azure DevOps pipelines or GitHub Actions. Policy as code with Azure Policy. Automated testing before anything touches production. This is the infrastructure engineering skill set that companies are struggling to hire for right now. Not because it's impossibly difficult, but because most people stop at the tutorial level and never go deeper. The engineers who go deeper are the ones getting the offers. Skill 3, Azure OpenAI and AI integration. This is the most underrated skill in the Azure space right now, and the window to get ahead of it is closing faster than most people realize. Here are the numbers. 44% of organizations are already piloting generative AI programs. 74% of business leaders plan to use AI specifically for operational automation. And the demand for engineers who can integrate Azure OpenAI into production systems is growing faster than the supply of people who can do it. But here's the critical point that most AI content gets wrong. The engineers who will win in the AI era are not the ones who know how to use ChatGPT. They're the ones who know how to deploy, secure, monitor, and optimize AI workloads inside an enterprise Azure environment. That's a cloud engineering problem, not a data science problem. Here's what that actually looks like in practice. Deploying Azure OpenAI service behind a private endpoint so the model never traverses the public internet. Configuring content filters and responsible AI policies that keep the organization compliant with whatever regulatory framework they operate under. Building inference pipelines that connect Azure OpenAI to existing enterprise data using Azure AI Search and Retrieval Augmented Generation. Monitoring model performance and costs using Azure Monitor and Log Analytics so the AI investment is economically defensible. These are skills that data scientists don't have. These are skills that most Azure administrators do not have. They sit exactly at the intersection of cloud infrastructure and AI deployment, which is exactly where you should be building expertise. And here's the competitive reality. Most engineers who've been in the Azure space for years have not touched Azure OpenAI. They're still focused on compute and networking and treating AI as someone else's problem. If you build genuine hands-on experience with Azure AI integration right now, while the talent shortage is at its peak, you're not just a cloud engineer anymore. You're a cloud engineer who can build AI systems that actually work in production. That's a different conversation with a hiring manager entirely. Skill 4, government and GovTech specialization. Here's where most Azure engineers leave significant money on the table. They can work for any Azure environment for any industry, but they don't deeply understand the specific requirements, compliance frameworks, or operational patterns of any single vertical. And that's increasingly a problem because AI is handing out surface level cloud work faster every year. The generalist who can do basic deployments is competing with automation. But the engineer who deeply understands the compliance requirements of government workloads, FedRAMP, NIST 853, CMMC, IL4, IL5, the ones who know how to architect Azure government environments that can pass a security assessment, who understands the difference between Azure Commercial and Azure Government Clouds and when each is appropriate, that engineer is not competing with automation. That engineer is solving problems that require genuine domain expertise. Let me be specific about why GovTech is one of the highest ROI specializations for Azure engineers right now. Government contracts are large and multi-year. When a government agency commits to an Azure migration, they're not switching providers next quarter. That work lasts years. The engineers embedded in those environments build institutional knowledge that compounds in value over time. Government contracts also don't disappear when the economy tightens. The commercial cloud market slows during recessions. Government technology spending is more insulated. The engineers who built GovTech expertise during the 2023 and 2024 commercial slowdowns were significantly more insulated than their peers. The security clearance pathway creates additional earning potential that doesn't exist in commercial cloud engineering. Engineers with active clearances who understand Azure government architecture are among the most actively recruited cloud professionals in the market right now. And the supply of engineers who understand both Azure infrastructure and the specific compliance requirements of government environments is genuinely small. Most Azure engineers have never touched an IL4 or IL5 environment. Most have never been through a FedRAMP authorization process. Most have no idea how Azure policy and blueprints apply in a compliance-driven government context. That knowledge gap is your opportunity. You don't have to abandon every other vertical, but developing a T-shaped skill set, broad enough in Azure fundamentals to work anywhere, deep enough in GovTech compliance and architecture to be the specialist in the room, is one of the highest leverage career investments an Azure engineer can make right now. Start by understanding Azure Government Cloud. Study FedRAMP authorization processes. Learn how Azure policy and blueprints apply in a compliance-driven environment. Understand how zero trust architecture maps to DoD requirements. That knowledge puts you in conversations your peers are not even being invited to. Skill 5, cost optimization and FinOps. Let me be completely direct about this. The engineers who get promoted are not the ones who can build the most complex architectures. They're the ones who can walk into a budget meeting and defend every dollar of cloud spend with specific, measurable business outcomes. Here's the reality of enterprise Azure right now. Organizations have been burned. They moved into the cloud expecting savings and got bills that were larger and harder to predict than the on-premise infrastructure they replaced. Finance teams are now scrutinizing cloud spend in ways they weren't 3 years ago. And engineering teams are being asked to justify every resource, not just whether it works, but whether the cost is defensible. Most Azure engineers have never been in that room. They've built things, they've deployed things, they've made sure things work, but they've never been the person who had to answer the question. Why did we spend $340,000 on Azure this quarter, and what did we get for it? The Azure engineers who are advancing fastest are the ones who learned to speak FinOps before they were asked to. They understand reserved instances and savings plans and when to use each one. They know how to right-size virtual machines using Azure Monitor utilization data, not just spinning down what looks idle, but actually understanding workload patterns and recommending instance changes with projected savings attached. They can identify orphaned resources, unused storage, and zombie disks that have been accumulating costs for months because nobody looked at the bill closely enough. They can look at an Azure cost management dashboard and immediately spot the anomalies and the opportunities. And more importantly, they can quantify the impact of those decisions in language that finance teams and executives understand. Not I reduced compute costs, but I identified 32 underutilized virtual machines and implemented a right-sizing plan that reduced our monthly compute spend by $18,000 without impacting any production workload. That's $216,000 in annual savings. That's the language of someone who's thinking like a business operator, not just a cloud technician. And that distinction is what separates the engineers who stay in their lane from the ones who get pulled into strategic conversations about how the organization is going to use the cloud over the next 5 years. I want to connect something before I close. You may have noticed that all 5 of these skills share something. They're not just technical skills. They're skills that translate technical work into business value. And that's not a coincidence, because the fundamental shift happening in the Azure engineering job market right now is not about which certifications you have. It's about whether you can do both. Build the system and explain why it matters. Deploy the infrastructure and justify the cost. Integrate the AI and ensure it runs securely, reliably, and within the compliance boundaries the organization actually needs. The engineer who only has the technical half are increasingly competing with automation. The engineers who have both halves are the ones being recruited, promoted, and paid at the level that make you want to get into the field in the first place. And here's what I want you to do with this information. Do not bookmark it. Do not save it to watch later. Do not add it to a list of things you plan to learn someday. Pick one of these 5 skills, the one where the gap between where you are right now and where you need to be feels most significant, and start building something this week that develops that skill. Not a tutorial, not a follow-along lab, a real problem, a real decision, a real artifact that you can show someone. Because the difference between engineers who are advancing in this field right now and the ones who are still stuck, it's not intelligence, it's not talent, it's not even the effort in the abstract. It's the specific decision to build real things in real environments instead of watching other people do it. That decision is available to you right now. I've linked some resources in the description to help you get started developing these skills on Azure specifically. As always, see you in the next one.